In this video, we'll show you how the debt system was established before the birth of money, how priests in Sumerian temples became the world's first bankers, why the first debt forgiveness in history was carried out, and how the modern financial system that's still choking us today was shaped exactly 5,000 years ago in those clay tablets. Because the credit card debt spiral you're living in right now, the burden of interest on unpaid debts and every debt restructuring is actually nothing more than the modern version of a game set up by priests in those sanctified temples of Mesopotamia. Get ready now, because what you'll see in this video isn't just a history lesson. It's a survival guide where you'll understand how the system exploits you and learn how to protect yourself. If you're ready, let's begin. We've all grown up looking at the flashy showcases of the modern economy, haven't we? Banks, stock exchanges, cryptocurrencies, digital wallets, they all seem so new and so complicated. But now, we're going to descend to the foundations of that flashy building, see the rotten columns one by one, and examine those hidden water leaks with the demeanor of an inspector. Only then will you understand why this building is shaking. Imagine you're on duty as an inspector and they're asking you this question: when did modern banking begin? No one talks about these. Now let me give you a secret. In an era when money didn't even exist in the fertile lands of Mesopotamia, in the temples known as the homes of the gods' priests, began controlling your entire financial life by laying the foundations of today's modern world. Yes, you heard that right. The debt system existed before money was even invented, and who managed it? Of course, the priests who were the so-called representatives of the gods. In the 3500s BC in Sumerian cities, these sacred structures called temples weren't just places of worship. They were also where the region's greatest treasures, grains, olive oil, wine, and even precious metals were stored. Farmers would bring their post-harvest crops to the temple because there was no other safe place. Bandits, thieves, and attacks from neighboring cities could be at the door at any moment. But the temple was different. The temple was sacred. The temple was the house of God. Attacking the temple meant attacking the gods, and no one dared to do that. This atmosphere of fear gave the priests tremendous power. Imagine, you have the food of an entire region in your hands. Everyone depends on you, and you are the so-called representatives of the gods. What kind of power is that? Can you imagine? Right at this point, the first seeds of financial exploitation are sown. Priests initially provided services without demanding any fee. "We are servants of God. We protect your goods. Your prayers are enough in return," they said. But what is human nature, right? Excessive power corrupts. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. As the temples filled up over time, the priests began demanding a fee. They called it protection fee. Then they went further. Should these grains just sit here idle? Let's give them to those in need. But in return, let's take a little extra, they said. And thus they established the first interest system in history. Now stop and think. You have no money at all, only some grain left from last year's bread. You need seeds for the new planting season, but you don't have any seeds to plant. You go to the priest, and he smiles and says to you, "I'll give you 10 sacks of grain, but at harvest time, you'll bring back 12 sacks. Deal?" And right at that moment, as a Sumerian farmer living 5,000 years ago, you're falling into the trap of today's credit card system. What if you can't pay? Then pledges, mortgages, sureties come into play. You give your field, you give your house, you even give yourself as a slave. Because the debt isn't forgiven, the debt grows, interest begets interest, and you enter a vicious cycle. Doesn't this sound familiar to you? Today, there are millions of people who can't pay their credit card debt, who take out another loan to close one loan, who are crushed under home mortgages, and this system was first established 5,000 years ago in those Sumerian temples. If you've watched up to this point and questions are starting to form in your mind, it shows that this video is just right for you. Press the like button right now so we can reach this content to more people and more people can learn the truths. Now, let's come to the even darker side of the matter. You've heard of the Hammurabi Code. In the 2000s BC, Babylonian king Hammurabi legalized the debt system and set interest rates. 33% for grain, 20% for dates, 12% for metals. Can you imagine? Today we complain about credit card interest rates, but in Hammurabi's time, 33% interest was normal. But the real question is this: How did such an organized debt system form, and why did the priests become so powerful? The answer is simple: because they were both representatives of God, accountants, and bankers. They had a triple power in their hands: religious authority, financial control, and knowledge of writing. Yes, knowledge of writing. Because in that period, very few people knew how to read and write, and the priests were among them. They recorded every transaction on clay tablets. We gave 5 sacks of grain to James. We'll take back 6 sacks at harvest time, like that. Thanks to these records, no one could deny it. The system worked flawlessly, and the priests were getting rich. However, now let's come to the most critical point of our video. The first debt forgiveness in history, and how a Sumerian king disrupted the priests' game. In the 2400s BC, a king ascended to the throne in the Sumerian city-state of Lagash. His name was Urukagina, and he etched his name in history with golden letters for what he did. After becoming king, Urukagina noticed something. The people are starving, debts are multiplying, fields are passing into the hands of temples, and priests are living in structures resembling kings' palaces. "Hold on a minute," said Urukagina. "There's something wrong here." And he carried out the first written reform in history. In this text, known as the Urukagina Laws, it says, "I saw that the priests were misusing the gods' goods in our temples. The priests were taking multiple times the money from the people under the pretext of services. But when the god Ningirsu gave me the kingdom of Lagash, I reinstated the god's laws of the old days. I issued an amnesty for the sons of Lagash who couldn't pay their debts and taxes." Can you imagine? In 2400 BC, a king stands up and says, "The priests are exploiting you, I'm forgiving your debts." This wasn't just a favor, this was a revolution, because Urukagina was saying it openly for the first time. How the priests were exploiting the people using religious authority, how the temples had turned into an exploitation machine. This courage should be a lesson for us today. Because today the same system stands before us in different guises. Today, there may not be priests in our financial lives, but banks, credit companies, and financial institutions have taken their place. Skyscraper bank headquarters have taken the place of those sacred temples. Digital records and credit score systems have taken the place of those clay tablets. But in essence, nothing has changed. You're still being crushed under debt, you're still carrying the burden of interest, and you're still the victim of the system. Now let me ask you a question. Do you have credit card debt today? Debt? Do you have a home loan? Do you have a car loan? Have you ever calculated how much interest you're paying while paying these? Only the players and the decor have changed. If you find this video useful and want this information to reach more people, please don't forget to subscribe to our channel. After subscribing, also turn on the notification bell next to it so you get notified right away when our new videos come out, because in the next video, I'll give you even more shocking information. So the question is, what should we do? Do we need to rebel against the system? No, we need to understand the system, because financial education today is a survival weapon. Imagine, you have a shield in your hand, and this shield protects you from the system's exploitation. So how do you make this shield? With knowledge, learn what debt is, understand how interest works, research how the credit score system operates, learn what investment tools are, because only with this knowledge can you protect yourself. Urukagina issued debt forgiveness 5,000 years ago to protect his people. But unfortunately, there's no Urukagina to protect you today. Today, no one but yourself can protect you. You have to protect yourself. Now let's come to the system's most insidious side, the psychology and morality issue. Why were the priests so successful? Because they were using people's weakest point, fear and belief. If you don't pay your debt, God will curse you, they said. Being in debt to the temple is actually being in debt to God, they said, and people were afraid. Today, the same game is being played, only the words have changed. If you don't pay your debt, your credit score will drop. If your credit score drops, no one will give you credit. If no one gives you credit, you'll be pushed out of society. Do you see? The same fear, the same pressure, only the word God is replaced with the word system. So, what is human nature? Human nature is actually good, but the system corrupts people. Most of those priests in Sumer were probably well-intentioned at the beginning. Let's protect the people's goods, they said. But then power came, money came, authority came, and they became corrupt. The same thing is happening today. A bank's senior executive probably starts the job thinking, let's help people. But the system changes him. More profit, higher interest, more customers, it says, and that executive becomes part of the system. That's why financial education isn't just technical knowledge, it's also a moral stance, a matter of consciousness. When you're crushed under debt, you're not just losing your money, you're losing your freedom too, you're losing your independence, you're losing your self-respect. 5,000 years ago in Sumer, people who couldn't pay their debts became slaves. Today, we don't use the word slave, but in essence, the same thing is happening. A person who can't pay their credit card debt becomes the bank's slave. They make the minimum payment every month, but the principal debt never ends. If this isn't slavery, what is? Now we're coming to the final part of our video, and I'll offer you concrete suggestions. Because this video isn't just a history narration, it's an action plan to change your life. First, become aware of your debts. Definitely put it on paper. How much is your total debt? How much is your interest rate? How much is your monthly payment? Calculate it and create a clear table in front of you, because you can't control what you don't see. Second, create an emergency fund. From scratch, save up an amount equal to 3 months of your income, because this will give you the power not to be dependent on the system that exploits you, like the priests. Third, compare interest rates. If a loan's interest is high, refinance it. If you have credit card debt, switch to a loan with lower interest. Fourth, and most important, gain financial literacy. There are tons of resources on YouTube, in books, on blogs. Learn, read, research. Because knowledge is power, and today you need power. Now let me ask you this. What happened when Urukagina issued the debt forgiveness? In the short term, the people relaxed, debts were erased, people breathed again. But what happened in the long term? Neighboring cities invaded Lagash, Urukagina was dethroned, and the system returned to its old state. Because the system knows how to protect itself. The priests came back, the debts came back, the interests came back. The same thing is happening today. Occasionally, debt forgiveness is talked about, credit restructuring is done, but the system never changes, because the system's foundation is built on debt. If there's no debt, the system collapses. If there's no interest, the system goes bankrupt. That's why the system never truly forgives debts. It only postpones, restructures. But your debt continues to stand there. So, what's the solution? Is the solution to exit the system? No. The solution is to understand the system and act accordingly. Look, let me remind you of that building metaphor. The modern economy looked like a flashy building, didn't it? From the outside, it looks very solid. It has a glass facade, high technology, digital systems. But now, we've descended to the foundation of that building, and what did we see? We saw rotten columns. We saw that the debt system established by the priests 5,000 years ago is still standing today. We saw those hidden water leaks. We saw how the interest system erodes everything. Now, you're living in this building. You know the building will collapse, so what will you do? You have two options. Either you'll panic and run outside, or you'll stay calm and build a strong support system. Financial education is exactly this support system. If you know how debts work, if you understand how interest accumulates, if you learn what investment is, then even if the building collapses, you'll stand firm, because you have your own fortress. Finally, I want to say this. Those priests in Sumer weren't bad people. They were just products of the system. Today, bankers aren't bad people either. They too are products of the system. The real problem is the system itself, and the system doesn't change. You change. Urukagina challenged the system 5,000 years ago and lost, but his legacy still lives today. He was the first to say, "This system is wrong." He was the first to write, "The priests are exploiting the people." He was the first to do, "I'm forgiving the debts." Today, you too should show the same courage. No, I'm not saying revolt against the system. I'm saying make your own little revolution in your own life. Learn your debts, calculate your interests, make your budget, save, invest, and liberate yourself. Because freedom doesn't begin where there's no money, but where money doesn't control you. Thank you very much for watching this video. If this content added something to you, please don't forget to like, write a comment, and share this video with your friends. Because maybe they too need this information just like you. Also, write this to me in the comments. What topic do you want to see a video on? Money history, central banks, cryptocurrencies, inflation, or another topic? Write it, and I'll prepare it for you. Because this channel is your channel, and I'm working for you. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications, because in the next video, I'll tell you about the hidden clauses of the Hammurabi Code and how the interest system infiltrated religions. This story that began in Sumer 5,000 years ago is still continuing today, and you're a part of this story. Never forget this. You're not just a part, you're also a player. Either you'll be the system's pawn or the master of your own game. The choice is yours. The knowledge is with you, the power is with you. See you soon.